This is what you get for telling me to show more skin. Just kidding. I wanted to show my cool orchard anyway. Um, so, I was thinking what to make a movie about next. There are a couple more class guides that I aim to write, unless of course someone else happens to make a good one before me. Those are namely Warlock and Shadow Priest. But I got thinking, and I realized that I've never seen or done any tips on how to heal a specific encounter or how to distribute healing assignments. A lot of that is of course up to the raid leader's personal preference, but I figured I can still give tips from a priest perspective and explain how we split up and use our healing team for fights on a tier by tier basis. So, without further ado, I present to you my healing perspective of Tier 9 Trial of the Grand Crusade instance in its 25 player version. Most of this also applies to the normal mode of course, but I figured if people run into issues, it's most likely gonna be in the heroic version.
So, let's start out with Northrend Beasts. Typically, we take a setup of 6 healers to this. If you're new to the encounter or have a weak link in your healing team, taking 7 healers may be the better option for you. This requires a good DPS setup though, since the Northrend Beasts and Rage encounter timer is fairly tight. The test for your healing team is clearly phase 1. Gormok hits hard, and the debuff he stacks on your tank will require people to constantly be assigned to keeping the tanks alive, even when they are letting their stacks run out and are not Gormok's main aggro target. We use a 3-tank rotation and have a paladin heal the 2 main tanks with Beacon of Light, along with typically a Resto Shaman and a Disc Priest. We also take 2 Resto Druids that roll full hots on each tank. In this particular video, we're running 2 Holy Priests to take care of the melee AoE damage with Prayer of Healing, as well as support raid heal Firebomb and Snowball targets. When no one is taking obvious splash damage, we help tank heal. As Holy Priest, keep Prayer of Mending bouncing, pre-heal spell block with Prayer of Healing, try to keep inspiration on the tanks, and make use of Circle of Healing when appropriate. As Disc Priest, keep all tanks shielded, shield Firebomb and Snowball targets, keep Penance off cooldown and stack Grace and Inspiration on the tank taking hits. In phase 2, again we have a Holy Pally with Beacon on both tanks, Hots rolling, Shaman tank healing until melee take poison damage, and Disc Priest tank healing as well as shielding people with the debuff. As Holy Priest, I stack up Serendipity with tank healing to be ready to use Prayer of Healing on the melee group when a poison cloud spawns or they take a debuff. In phase 3, healing is not a huge concern. Spread out your healers so there's always someone available to heal that's not getting stunned by the ice breath. Have 2 or so healers constantly heal your tank, and make sure any available Disc Priest shields targets getting hit by icy breath. Pre-hotting works wonders for the stun that predates the charge. As Holy Priest, I keep up renew on all the melee when I know it's coming, and afterwards use Prayer of Healing on groups that didn't get healed by hots. The best time to use Divine Hymn is if either a lot of people get hit by a debuff in phase 2 or after an icy breath in phase 3. To the Lord Jaraxxus encounter, we again take 6 healers, and really more than that is a waste of a DPS slot. If executed correctly, there isn't a lot of damage that goes out. You'll want at least 2 tank healers, preferably at least 1 if not both paladins. Paladins also make amazing healers for Incinerate Flesh, but everyone can chip in a heal or 2 on the targeted person to lower the chance of an oversight. Chain Heal and Prayer of Healing are good tools for portal spawn since melee will be taking some damage. Everyone that isn't permanently assigned to tank healing should be keeping an eye out for Chain Lightning, Legion Flame and Incinerate Flesh. As Holy Priest, I keep Prayer of Mending bouncing, heal splash damage with Flash Shield and stack up Serendipity for nether portals and teleporting infernal damage. I also use COH and POH on melee and Chain Lightning targets. As Disc Priest, I shield tanks, melee, Legion Flame targets and help heal Incinerate Flesh when I'm not tank healing. I try to keep inspiration up on the tanks as well. The best time to use Divine Hymn is after an infernal teleports or a portal spawns. Faction Champions is fairly unpredictable by nature. What is predictable is that you'll need a lot of dispels and oh crap buttons. Holy Paladins make great healers and dedicated dispellers for this, and a Disc Priest with talented mass dispel time is almost invaluable. Not to mention shields and pain suppression often save lives. As Disc Priest, you shouldn't need many spells other than Dispel, Mass Dispel, Powered Shield, and Penance. As Holy Priest, Mass Dispel and Dispel where you can, use Prayer of Mending on cooldown and try to stick to instant spell casts to avoid spell lockouts. POH does have use for Bladestorm and the like. As Shaman, keep a Poison Cleansing Totem down, help purge buffs, make good use of Chain Heal and Riptide. As Druid, your best bet is pre-hotting and reactive Nourish and Swift Bend Healing. As Paladin, did I mention Dispels? Cooldowns such as Guardian Spirit, Hand of Protection, and Pain Suppression are very valuable and shouldn't be forgotten. The best time to use Divine Hymn is after a Bladestorm or really any time because people are constantly taking damage. Valkyr Twins requires a lot of raid healing. Tank healing is more lenient so you can get away with just one good tank healer, preferably a Paladin. We take a Holy Paladin, a Resto Shaman, 2 Resto Druids, and 2 Holy Priests. Assignments are very clear. The Paladin heals both tanks with Beacon, the Shaman chain heals the melee, the Resto Druids rejuvenate and wild growth everyone in range, and the Holy Priests use Prayer of Mending and Circle of Healing on cooldown, and use Prayer of Healing between cooldowns. Alternatively, you can use Renew as filler spell, but Renew, while good in the normal Twins encounter, loses a lot of value in the heroic Twins fight since POH is better HPS when it actually heals its full amount. Should you have a Disc Priest with you, his or her role will be to shield the entire raid. Everyone should be watching out and be ready to emergency heal people that get targeted by the debuff or happen to get hit by a misguided ball. Lastly, Anubarak. This encounter is more about avoiding to heal rather than actually healing. For that reason, we take 6 healers, 2 of which are Disc Priests, and have 2 of them DPS until Phase 3 starts. The only healing required in Phase 1 and 2 is tank healing and keeping penetrating cold targets alive, which is easily done by 2 tank healers and 2 raid healers. We have 1 Disc Priest and a Holy Paladin on tank healing, as well as a Druid and a Shaman on raid healing in Phase 1 and 2. Once Phase 3 starts, roles change significantly. This is done differently on a guild by guild basis, but we have our Paladin and Shaman tank heal, our 2 Resto Druids rejuvenate the entire raid to counteract the dot, and our 2 Disc Priests get ready to shield anyone getting hit by penetrating cold. 1 priest starts shielding targets in group 1, working his way to the middle, and the other starts at group 5, so no target should take the first penetrating cold hit and die. By the time they take the second tick, the druids or the shaman will have healed them up. Vampiric Embrace and Healing Stream totems are also nice to have. This strategy works best for us to keep Leeching Swarm at bay, but I do acknowledge that every guild does this differently, so if you have a working strategy, I obviously wouldn't change it. Thanks for watching this movie. As always, feel free to ask questions or add suggestions either on YouTube or in the thread on tankspot.com. Also, Tankspot donors can download all of these movies in high definition directly from our servers, so if you'd like to learn more about that, just click the second link in the movie information box.